This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user PublicEdge6210. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my in-laws to take over my baby and for refusing to move in with them? Me, 30 female, and my husband, 31 male, have been married for almost 3 years and have an 8-month-old baby. Ours was an arranged marriage, and I genuinely got lucky. My husband is kind, supportive, and very understanding. My husband is the eldest of 3 sons. His 2 younger brothers live abroad. Since my in-laws don't have a daughter, they treated me very well from the beginning, and overall, they are good people. This makes the situation harder for me. The issues started after my son was born. During the first few months postpartum, I stayed with my parents and then with my in-laws. At first, I ignored small things, assuming they were just excited grandparents. But over time, certain behaviors started bothering me. They would refer to themselves as father and mother when talking to my baby in our native language. When my baby cried or needed to sleep, my father-in-law would ask my mother-in-law to comfort him instead of letting me do it. Sometimes they wouldn't give my baby back to me when he was crying or would take him from my arms, saying they would try to calm him. I felt invisible but stayed quiet, thinking it might just be postpartum hormones. After we moved to the city where my husband works, it got worse. We video call them daily. Whenever my baby cries, my father-in-law says things like, "Our baby is dead because he's missing us," or that the baby is all alone there, even though he's with his parents. He has joked that the baby might be bored of seeing only my husband's and my face. It often feels like they see my baby as their child and us as caretakers. They also constantly insist the baby looks only like their side of the family and dismiss any resemblance to me, even in obvious cases. My husband noticed this too and admitted it bothered him. He corrected his father once, but it didn't stop. Eventually, I started correcting my father-in-law every time he called himself dad, and he finally stopped. They visited us twice after we moved, and both visits were extremely stressful due to constant boundary crossing and comments about our parenting. Recently, the main conflict happened. We can't visit our hometown often because my husband gets only 4 days off a month. Now, my in-laws want us to quit our jobs and move permanently into their home so they can be close to the baby. I work from home, but only from our current location, not my hometown. More importantly, based on their current behavior, I don't feel comfortable living with them. My father-in-law frequently comments that we don't feed the baby on time, that the baby is unhappy, lonely, and has to play alone. I told my husband I'm not comfortable living with them because I feel they won't allow us to raise our son the way we choose. My husband agrees and plans to have a serious conversation with his father to set boundaries and clearly state that this is our child. However, my husband is also worried because his parents would be alone, as his brothers live abroad. Apart from these issues, they have been good to me, and I don't want to damage the relationship. Am I the a-hole for refusing to move in with my in-laws and for wanting firm boundaries around my baby, even if it hurts their feelings? Of course not, OP, and what the hell is wrong with them? Demanding that you guys quit your jobs and go move in with them because they want to be closer to the baby? Look, OP, you've said it right. It's about boundaries and respect of them. Your in-laws don't get to demand anything from you, and if they do get time with the baby, it's because you're nice enough to allow them around your child. So, OP, you need to sit down with your husband, and sure, he can feel bad that maybe his parents are going to be alone, but if they cannot behave and respect your boundaries, well, then that is going to be their fate, unfortunately. And your husband needs to make a choice. It's either the comfort and well-being of his family, or just letting his parents walk all over you two. I'd say the latter is not an option. So no, OP, not the a-hole. Stand by your boundaries, and your husband has to back you up. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Level Caramel 4285 says, "Not the a-hole. They had their time to raise their children. Now it's your time to raise your children. Enjoy it. You don't have to meet their expectations." Usual Canary 7764 says, why should you quit your job? Their loneliness is not your burden to bear. If they want to be closer to their grandchildren, they can move closer. If they want more involvement, then they must follow your rules. None of the above requires you to move or quit your jobs. If you do that or move in with them, you are suddenly fully at their mercy, completely. Do not do that under any circumstance. Not the a-hole. And Dopey responds, yes, that's what I thought. I can't afford to leave my current job. My in-laws are saying they'll help set up some business for my husband in his field and I can join him or search for a new job here. But in our current situation, it's not at all ideal. Can't take the risk now. Thank you for the reply. Post Civil 7869 says, what's disturbing is that you said, apart from these issues, they've been good to me. Think about that long and hard. 1. Calling themselves mom and dad is not an issue. It's seriously deranged. 2. Being good to you is not a plus in their favor. Being good to your husband's wife is the bare minimum of human decency. 3. Their behavior and request is not acceptable, healthy or realistic. It needs to be shut down now by your husband. 4. Worrying about hurting grown adults' feelings because you won't give in to insane demands is ridiculous. Stand your ground and don't give it another thought. And Dopey responds, thank you for taking the time to comment. Why I said they are good to me, because from the beginning they were very supported and treated me well during my pregnancy. I understand that it's not an excuse for their current behavior and I totally get your point. And Enuma says, watch out, they will plan to move nearer you soon or move in with you. Be prepared. And Opie responds, they will definitely do that if they can, but they have their own business and can't leave that. But if they decide to retire, then there is a possibility. Thank you for the comment. The community is saying OP is not the a-hole and they're giving her fair warning. So now let's move on to the first of two updates to see what happened next. I wanted to add an update after a recent visit from my father-in-law as it reinforced many of the concerns I mentioned in my original post. Before their visit, I asked my husband to remind my father-in-law to wash his hands before holding our baby, as this has been an ongoing issue in the past. Despite being told, my father-in-law took our baby from my arms immediately upon arriving without washing his hands. My husband had to ask him multiple times before he finally did so. During the visit, there were repeated comments about our baby being happy now that everyone is here, and otherwise being all alone when it's just me and my husband with him. There was also another instance of my father-in-law refusing to acknowledge any resemblance between our baby and me, even when others, including my husband, pointed out obvious features like my hair. This turned into an unnecessary argument over something very trivial, which again made me feel dismissed. Later in the evening, alcohol was being consumed in the living room. While I'm personally uncomfortable with my baby being around drinking, I chose not to escalate the situation in front of guests and instead kept my baby with me in the bedroom. At that point, my father-in-law made a comment framed as a joke about putting a few drops of alcohol in our 8-month-old baby's mouth so he could get a taste early, saying that everyone in the family drinks anyway. Both my husband and I immediately shut this down. My husband, who is a doctor, firmly told him that this was unsafe and unacceptable. My father-in-law dismissed it by saying nothing would happen, that it was costly whiskey, and that he had been given alcohol as a child and that it was supposedly good for gut health. Regardless of intent, this crossed a serious line for us. There were also a few other smaller boundary issues throughout the visit. We did not have a full conversation with my father-in-law at the time because my mother-in-law was not present and father-in-law was visiting with his brothers and sons. We felt it was more appropriate to address these issues privately and together rather than in front of extended family or while alcohol was involved. After they left, I told my husband that I am no longer comfortable with the idea of ever living in the same house as his parents. If we were to move closer in the future, it would have to be in a separate home. My husband agreed. This visit confirmed that my discomfort isn't about minor disagreements or hurt feelings. but about repeated boundary violations and concerns around our child's safety and our authority as parents. We are aligned and will be setting firmer boundaries going forward. Okay, OP's had enough and her husband is backing her, so now let's move on to the final update to see how this story ends. We had a conversation with my in-laws and I wanted to share how it went. My mother-in-law spoke with us first over FaceTime. I explained how hurt we have been by certain behaviors and comments, especially from my father-in-law, and how they made us feel like our role as parents wasn't being respected. I also told her about the specific boundaries that had been crossed and why it affected us so deeply. To her credit, she listened without interrupting, acknowledged our feelings, and apologized sincerely. She said clearly that we are the parents and that no one has the right to make us feel otherwise. She then asked my father-in-law to join the call and repeated everything to him. He apologized as well and said he never intended to hurt us. Both of them said they would not repeat the behaviors we brought up. We also addressed the larger issue of living arrangements and our future plans. We told them that we will not be moving in with them and that we intend to continue building our life where we are now, as it is best for both our careers and our personal life. We made it clear that if they ever need our help, we will be there for them. At the same time, we set boundaries around our child. They are welcome to visit us and spend time with our baby as long as our role as parents is respected, and visits will be in our presence. We will also continue visiting them during holidays. They accepted this and reiterated that they would respect our decisions going forward. My husband and I are aligned, and while we know that maintaining boundaries is an ongoing process, this conversation felt like an important step in the right direction. Thank you to everyone who offered advice and perspective. It genuinely helped us approach this in a calm and constructive way. Also, I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment on both my original post and the update. I truly appreciate the advice, perspectives, and support shared here. I've read every comment, even if I wasn't able to reply to all of them. Between work, caring for my baby, and everything else going on, I just didn't have the time to respond individually. Please know that your words meant a lot to me and helped us reflect and move forward more thoughtfully. Well, OP, this is a good first step. Now let's see if they follow through with what they promised, because there's a big difference between words and actions. So on that note, here's wishing your husband, you and your baby the best in the future. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Regent Diamond. Am I the a-hole for getting my boss involved without talking to my coworker? I, 23 female, have a bit of a situation at my job involving my coworker roommate, Carly, 23 female. The part about her being my roommate and coworker is important. For context, our job environment and titles are relatively casual, independent contractors, but we all work at the same place doing the same job. Carly and I live together in an apartment on site for our job. Carly is, for all intents and purposes, the manager. The difference in job is that she makes our weekly schedule, nothing else. Our job is outdoor physical labor, intense, and is usually 6 days a week. The situation: Carly has been slacking off in all aspects of the job, taking multiple days off at a time without much of a heads up to the rest of the crew. I'm talking maybe 24 hours in advance. Changing the schedule without notifying who she is putting on instead of herself, forgetting to make a weekly schedule entirely, and sitting in the office on her phone whilst the rest of us are finishing up in the evenings. We have talked about this casually and Carly will be okay for a few days, then go back to her usual routine. This week, Carly took 4 days off instead of the initial 2 days we all agreed upon. Here's where the roommate part gets involved. Carly left her dogs with me in the apartment. No discussion, no asking, just left with the assumption I would be fine with it. I don't mind having them, but I'm not really a dog person. Before this, she would give me some pocket change for feeding or taking them out, etc., but that has since stopped. Why I think I may be the a-hole. I went straight to our boss to ask for a meeting about this, which is happening this afternoon that I'm leading, I guess. Our boss is usually pretty relaxed and lets us handle things on our own, so we usually don't get her involved. Instead of sitting Carly down with myself and our other co-worker, I pretty much snitched to the boss lady. Probably not my most mature moment, but I was so extraordinarily frustrated that I just went ahead and did it. So Reddit, what do we think? Well, OP, I think you did the right thing. Apparently, you have tried to have this conversation many times with this Carly, but she just won't listen. She'll change her behavior a little bit for a few days and then go back to her old ways, as you said. And the fact that the harshest consequence that she's gotten is a talking to by you two, that does not make anything change for her. In fact, she's escalated to worse behavior now. So you did the right thing, OP, and she should get fired for it. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section. And now let's check out the community comments. Fuzzy Mick says, the work scheduling issues are worth bringing up at the meeting. The dog issues aren't. And OP responds, definitely not bringing up the dogs in the meeting today. That's a conversation for us to have separate. I just wanted to involve it for more context. Expensive Ant 2091 says, you did the right thing. She isn't just taking advantage of you as a roommate, she is taking advantage of you and the rest of the team and your boss's casual attitude. Bottom line, you're all there to do a job and get paid. She isn't doing what she's being paid to do and effing things up for everyone else. Your boss has the right to know what is happening and sort this mess out. Dog sitting isn't part of your employment contract. And Chaos Goblin says, not the a-hole. It sounds like you've been talking to Carly. She corrects herself for a few days before letting crap go again. You've already done the work trying to work it out on your own. What did she expect would happen? That everyone would just keep covering for her despite previous conversations? Nah, Carly needs a reality check from someone higher up. The community agrees OP is not the a-hole. So now let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. Hi, quick and easy update. Thank you to everyone who assured me that I was not the a-hole for going straight to my boss and to offer solutions during the meeting. Meeting went alright. It involved myself, our boss, my co-worker Carly, and our newest co-worker, Hannah, 20 female, who initially came to talk to me about Carly's lack of work ethic. My boss pretty much handed the meeting over to me right from the get-go. Thank God for anxiety medication. And I pretty much got right into it. Explained Hannah's and myself's frustration about Carly not carrying her own weight on the job and spending a lot of time sitting on her phone instead of working. I did give examples of things I had noticed. Carly did try to say she had been doing those things, which I haven't seen. Hannah had not seen them done either and often ended up doing those tasks herself. I offered up making a task list so we can initial on who did what for that day. Our boss ended up laying into Carly a bit for being missing in action more often than not, despite Carly being the manager of the facility. Carly, again, tried to say she was here more often, which our boss disagreed with and reiterated she had to come to me instead for many things. Boss lady also wants Carly to pick a day to have all of us write down a 2-week schedule that works for everyone. We are also to initial on those weeks that we agree with the schedule and it will not be changed. Any time off from the job longer than 2 days, our boss will also need to be notified of instead of just hearing it from word of mouth. The solution pretty much came down to monthly meetings with everyone, 2-week schedule instead of 1, everyone will do the schedule together, and any imminent issues will be brought straight forward to boss lady instead of being worked out amongst the co-workers. Carly is currently giving everyone the silent treatment, which I suppose is better than picking a fight without our boss around. Lol, thank you again for the advice and reassurance. No, I did not mention the dogs in the meeting, I promise. Well, OP, at least Carly is now on notice, so any other slip up and she should be removed. In the meantime, OP, here's wishing you the best. Take care and thanks for sharing. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge and it's by user Ionic Res. I exposed an affair because it was affecting my sleep. So I'll start with understanding what I did wasn't exactly right, but I regret nothing. My upstairs neighbor has been having an affair with a married man for about 4 months now. I wouldn't care, but because it's an affair, he comes over at odd hours of the night and they have sex very loudly. I can hear a lot. And it wakes me up or prevents me from sleeping. How do I know it's an affair? He's never spent the night and his car has baby car seats in there. Some backstory. I've had issues with my upstairs neighbor prior to this. She would throw parties on Monday nights. She gets home at 2 a.m. from work, pacing her condo and having loud phone conversations. She's 40 years old, throwing parties with 20-year-olds and having affairs and living like a teenager. I tried to talk to her like a normal person about my concerns, but she doesn't care, and I've had to get the association involved to stop the parties. I hate her. So I decided to learn some more about this mystery man. I looked up the license plate, found an address, searched the address and found a name. Took the name and did some social media stalking and found the man and his wife's profiles. I made a throwaway account, messaged the wife about the affair. I haven't seen him now for a few weeks and I'm sleeping really nicely. Smiley face. Nicely done, OP. One shot and two good things. You get to sleep and the wife knows the truth about her scummy husband. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.